Ahmed, it's a great pleasure to be here, and it was a great pleasure to see the tale from the Arabian Nights. For John Denham and myself, my colleague, it added a new dimension to joining the cabinet. But you have two cabinet members here tonight. You have members of other political parties. Dominic Grieve, the Shadow Justice Minister, will be here soon, and it's to give our cross-party support to what I think is one of the most important events of the year. And I'd like to congratulate Ahmed Versi and all his people on Muslim News for establishing this ceremony and for ensuring that it continues and indeed grows and becomes an ever more important part of our calendar. This is, of course, the 10th annual Muslim News Awards, as well as making all the achievements of individuals and communities across the country an essential part of the evening. I think we're also celebrating the contribution that Muslims make in every aspect of British life, whether that's in politics, academia, in law, in sport, healthcare, humanitarian aid, the military, business and finance, our culture, and indeed our cuisine. I will be honoured shortly to present the Ali Biruni Award for Excellence in Community Relations, and I can't think of a more appropriate name to give this award. Al-Biruni is not only celebrated as one of the fathers of modern mathematics, he was also an outspoken campaigner against intolerance and prejudice between Muslims and Hindus in 11th century India. His extensive study of leading Hindu scholars led him to believe that no race or religion could claim to be superior, and that shared scientific endeavor was more important than any difference in culture or belief. Each of the nominees exemplifies this spirit, whether it's by building bridges between faiths, improving relationships between Muslim communities and the police, or promoting understanding and awareness of Islam through important cultural events such as the Edinburgh Festival. What the nominees for all tonight's awards remind us of is that this country is undoubtedly culturally richer and more prosperous because of its diversity. Our history and our values are deeply entwined. Muslim communities have been part of British life for many centuries, long before the waves of emigration from the Commonwealth in the 50s and 60s. There are references to Islamic scholarship in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and there have been sizable Muslim communities in this country since the 17th century at the latest. The UK's first purpose-built mosque was constructed in Woking in 1889 for the Muslim students and teachers working at the Oriental Institute in nearby Maybury, which soon drew international acclaim as a centre of Muslim scholarship. Just as we have a shared history, so we also have shared values. The key principles of Islam, the right to life, the right to worship, freedom of expression, justice, and tolerance, are universal. They are echoed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights drawn up in 1948. They are integral to every community and every democracy. They unite both Muslims and non-Muslims, people of all faiths and no faith at all. And what also unites us is our collective determination to uphold and protect these values from those who seek to attack and undermine them, whether that's the extremists of the far right or those who distort Islam to justify violence. But tackling extremism does not define the relationship between government and Muslim communities, nor does it mean that the responsibility for tackling extremism lies only with the Muslim community. Like the threat from the far right, it affects us all, and it requires a united response. By far the biggest threat to these groups is the resilience and confidence of the communities that they claim to represent. There is a responsibility on government to tackle social exclusion, deprivation, and discrimination in all its forms and for all its people. We know that, for instance, in our schools and universities, only a fraction of the potential of young Pakistanis and Bangladeshis is realised, despite significant improvements in recent years. And we know that there are Muslim communities in the UK which are disproportionately affected by poverty and unemployment, who struggle to access services or face discrimination and harassment because of their faith or ethnicity. So when we talk about resilience and confidence, you can take that to embrace access to excellent education, good employment opportunities, making our streets and homes safer through tough action on crime and antisocial behaviour, the things that underpin not just the safety and security of our citizens, but also whether each individual can fulfil their potential. Tonight's award winners and nominees exemplify the talent, the passion and the commitment among Muslim communities to making the UK a fairer and more tolerant and safer place. And I'd like to thank all of them for their contribution to the well-being and prosperity of this country and all its citizens. Thank you.
Well, the first award, as Alan said, will be the Albury